Well, so let me just introduce my guests for the morning. I have Rodalyn Nimo Rayana, second vice chairperson of the CPP, and thanks for joining me, Rhoda. And the member of parliament for Salaga South, and Salaga we know is in the northern region, and he is in the person of Alhaji Ibrahim Dey Abubakar. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Alhaji. All right, so over the weekend we had the executive positions at the youth level as well as for the women's organizer position of the NDC being convened, and I believe it took place in Kumasi.
Yes.
No, in Y.
In Y. No.
And
Yeah,
In Kumasi. And there were some skirmishes that were reported by the news media about some uncertainties, a bit of confusion, and all those things tend to mar the whole event in its place. What do you make of what took place over the weekend?
May I should start first? Well, thank you very much. Actually, I just arrived from Addis Ababa. Actually, I wasn't around to know what really took the place. So, and I also heard it in the news of somebody trying to was Peter. I mean, especially the youth organizer or something like that, who didn't get the position. But for skirmishes, I haven't heard anything about it. I'm here to read more about that, so I can't comment much about that and go on. But if anything, I thought the normal rivalry in the competition or in election, whatever election takes place, no matter how peaceful it is, you have some small of somebody being not happy the way it has gone, something like that. But when you talk smash, what do you exactly mean? You mean skirmishes in the fight, blows, or whatever?
Yes, blows.
Or whatever it is. So what exactly do you mean by skirmishes?
All right, we'll get to that very soon. I know that you're trying to play the devil's advocate. But you had also followed the news as they trickled in, and indeed there were recordings that were played on the news media, and now we have them reported in print as well.
Yes. I'd say good morning to Ghanaians. All congresses always come up with some form of violence or the other, some misunderstanding. So it was expected. I think what happened is not any different from what normally happens in
other parties as well.
In other parties, yes, when people don't agree for to the results and all that. But you see, I am a bit worried because this had to do with youth. And when young people start bringing out violent tendencies, we have to be very careful. They're getting intolerance. That's the way I see it. We we are told that they were actually not happy with, I think, the second deputy youth organizer. There was supposed to be one lady who they thought should have taken the seat, and instead it went to someone else. So it was like they wanted a recount, and when that wasn't coming and the EC wanted to announce the results, they refused to accept anything or to hear of that. Then eventually Ken Jansa, who is a very seasoned and, NDC politician, senior man, steps in and says, okay, EC, give out the results so that if the aggrieved person wants, the person can go to court. That didn't also augur well with Ms. Mensah's people and all that. So it just shows that there's a lot of things that we will be looking at when it comes to their national congress. This is just the youth, and already we are having so many problems. I wasn't surprised that the youth organizer lost, Ludwig. I wasn't. Because prior to the elections, I had been talking to a few NDC people, and they told me that he had virtually forgotten the youth. He was now fighting for himself. You understand? He was just in the party for himself. So I wasn't surprised. And then also, I met a few NDC people. I was supporting Ruth Della Sedo for deputy youth organizer because I felt that she was a young, up-and-coming person, very dynamic. But unfortunately, she didn't make it. And I did meet a few people who would tell me that, look, we are not voting for the women because the women have not really delivered. And I'm asking myself, what else do they want the women to do? So when it came to this Tina Mensah, I was a bit like worried that if she didn't go in there, then it meant that it was going to be an all-male affair, which doesn't really look very good for a Democratic Party. So that was how I saw it.
I like you will be a delegate in the national, right? Definitely.
Yes, of course.
And you won't travel to Addis Ababa during the period.
No, I'll be in Kumasi.
All right. But more importantly, when there's such internal rivalries, and when you're convening some of these executive positions, and we've seen it in the NPP, now we're witnessing some in the NDC as well. I mean, the two of you are saying it is normal internal party politicking. As far as we're concerned, how do you make sure that when a person is elected into office and your party is in government, that very executive would be in touch with the rank and file of the party, and then also make sure that his or her responsibilities are carried out to the latter?
Yeah, that's a very good question. But to come back what she's saying, go on. You see, most often, there is a problem with this kind of executives having in touch with the grassroots and going on, or even having this and going on. But I think most of you know, when you are government in power, there's a high expectation from the people. I mean, especially the grassroots, thinking that the executive should do more than what they are doing and going on. So when you look at most of the congresses at the regional level, you know, the incumbents suffer to maintain their seat. Even you take Adikoka, you take Azoka, you take Ogo, most places, most of the incumbents lost their seat. They're giving room to new people to go on. Why you don't always have this touch? And I believe one biggest problem of most parties is transparency. When I talk of transparency, dealing with the people, just let them know the truth. You see, with the social media it is coming now, you can't afford to tell lies. You can't afford to tell people what you can't do or whatever go on. But once they know the truth, or you go back to the people, let them know the situation of the party, let them know the situation of, especially when you're in a party in government and going on. Let them know what is happening and going on. They will bear with you and understand you. But when you make it to look like it's so rosy and they're not getting, then they think that you sitting there are rather blocking and enjoying the thing at their expense they are not enjoying. And I think that's one of the serious issues that most leadership are facing in this country and going on. So to come back to your question, the leadership should learn to be transparent. They should get in touch with the people and learn to tell them the truth. The people will understand them. For me, these are the three factors if you want to be a leader, current leader, and going on. The youth have understanding. If they say, excuse me to use the word, let's say there's economic challenges or there are situation challenges, and let them know the truth, they will understand with you. They will all come together to find solutions. And once they know that there are solutions, they are not expecting immediate solutions. They know that at least if it's going to take a long time, but we have a step moving towards that solution. But when you come to make it to look like there's a magic wand to solve the problem, and at the same time you are not delivering, then they think that, well, then you collect what is at the top and you sit on it and let's trick it down to them.
Well, you said collect and not delivering. But the point is, your party is in government, and we've had the NPP also been in government before. Yes. And some of these accusations sometimes are leveled at the executives in many respects.
Yes.
At what point do you say that, well, if there's a perception that the government in power is not performing well, it could have an influence on how the grassroots perceive the executives within the party?
You see, I have always said, maybe from the Social Democrats' perspective, you know, the party, the government, and maybe the legislature, let me put it that way, that it forms a leakage. Because if the party forms the government, for example, the government at right now, it's not an independent president. It's still on the ticket of the party and became it. So the party has a role. Moreover, the party comes with manifesto that why he campaign on it. So the party has a role with the executive president to let them know, look, this is what we tell the people we're going to deliver. But if the government is facing the challenges, it needs to relate to the party to understand what is going within the government. Then the party can then deliver it, trick it down to the grassroots to understand that, look, our government is facing so far, these are the things we have done, these are the communication and go on. What is that? They will understand you. But if that gap is not between the party and the government, And when I talk about party, I mean the central executive of the party, and they can also not go back to travel to tell the grassroots. Then you can have this kind of agitation and this kind of expectation gap which is happening.
The CPP has not been in government in a while.
Yeah.
And if you take a current look at the two parties, the NPP and NDC, it is perceived by observation, of course, that if the party is the one in government, then there's a lot of cash to dole around. If that is not felt by the grassroots,
that's the perception. And you see, if you actually read about the NDC, you know, you realize that there's a lot of grassroots agitation. The grassroots seem to think that there's a disconnect somewhere between the leadership and the grassroots. Now, when that happens, it is very difficult for you to convince them to follow you the next time.
that is your own party supporters?
Yeah, your own party supporters, yes.
Yes.
They will actually not follow you. Because you see, even when you are just a youth leader of a political party, a national youth leader, there's so much that, you know, they are expecting from you. We have a lot of youth unemployment. They come to you with their problems. You're supposed to be able to sort some of those problems out. Because you are there. You're supposed to be on the ground with them to know that things are not going well for them. But then when they feel that you are actually grabbing and nothing is coming to them.
How would they know you're grabbing?
Okay.
Perhaps maybe you have a new car?
Yes, perhaps you have a new car.
You have a new
Perhaps
house?
They hear
or
you
they suspect you have a new house?
They suspect you're acquiring lands, you know, in East Legon, plush places like East Legon.
Those could be perceptions.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
But perception is everything in politics.
Perception, it's within the political reign. Everybody perceives. You know, when you look at someone before the person becomes a youth leader, if you want to look at things, let's look at the new people that have been elected now. Those that have just been elected. Let's put them somewhere and look at them in about a year or 6 months from now. Probably the person was riding a rickety car. Suddenly the person gets into a V8. You understand? The person
just because
yes.
it is a timing. The party is in government.
The party is in government.
And the executive looks flush.
And the executive looks flush.
Okay.
So the grassroots are not happy. And that's what's happening.
Do you think when we have to now steer the discussion to the next level, to make sure that all the parties are equal, then the supporters or the rank and file of the two main parties don't tend to think, well, there's a sharp disconnect between the status of the other parties and the two that have always been in government since 1993. And so as a result of that, well, because they are always not well-to-do or don't look plush enough, and we are always interchangeably, depends on the time and the terms we're in office, looking okay, then we also need to make sure that we bring the other parties up so that there's dedication by the rank and file to the parties instead of just being the executives for which their party is formed. That's a party in government. Do you get my question?
Yes.
Do we need to, well, should I say, do we need to extend some level of assistance to the smaller parties? Okay, so that so that we have, they also can groom their rank and file.
There may be.
So we have sympathizers and supporters supporting the parties instead of just having
the legislation. If you're saying that, to put a cap to all funding in politics. Already the law says that most political parties should come out, because if you don't want to kill the smaller parties, or as you put it down, then there must be a kind of the government funding. It comes to the issue of and then putting a cap to the funding. You know,
now you're trying to stay on the fence with your argument. What's your own perception, or what's your take on this?
Yeah, my take is that because we are in a multi-party state and we need all the party to go on. And what I'm saying is that running a political party is expensive. I can tell you the truth. Okay. Running a political party
so it is better if you're in government to run it better.
No, I won't put it so.
Argument?
I won't put it so. It's better when you are well organized. It is better when you are properly organized.
How do you get well organized?
Yes, I mean,
if you don't have the funding for it.
Well, not necessary. You see, I always say one thing, and I remember I ever said this when I was in London, and I used to be telling people, you need money to run an election, but you don't need money to win an election. Yes, money does not win an election, but you need money to run it. And what I mean here is that, for example, if you're...
There's a thin line between the two.
There's no thin line. You see, For example, people think that if I dole money to people, I can win the election. And I can start with 2 good examples. Take the 2000 election, the NDC time. They perceive that NDC gave all lot of money, whatever it is, 2000. They lost the election. Whatever they give to the people and going on. Take 2008, MPP's time. When they lost the election, there was a perceived that they did all the media, gave all the money and go on. What I mean that because if you give people money to a certain level, but you need to organize people. That is the need for the money to run. People must properly organize, communicate properly, give them your manifesto, let them know what is going on. You need money to do that. And that's what you need on. People can collect money and see that, and then even just go around. As I said, that you don't need money to win, but you need money to run an election and go on. That's exactly what I mean. So organization become the best. And organization means that right down from the top to the bottom. All we are talking here is the gap between the bottom and the top. But when you talk of proper organization, how many of the leaders are willing to travel once to go to northern region to see what is happening there, let's say national leader? And how many of the regional level and the northern region, look at how vast of northern region is, travel to Bumpurugu Yoyo, travel to, let's say, Salaga, travel all the way to, let's say, Bandai, because you need that kind of organization to get in touch with the people. So, and I keep on saying that when the people know the truth, and let them to touch to know the challenges, because you are the party who gives the direction to the government on the way and the well. If this is lacking and that organizational ability, a time will come, the people who rise and say that they would like to say, oh look, what are these people about? They don't even know what is happening. Even we have it as an MP. As an MP, if you don't go to the people, you go.
You're always going to Addis Ababa instead of going to your constituency.
No, I don't.
I'm only setting out an example. I know that your constituency.
But you have said it on the line. No, not that. Because you need money to go and travel to go to the people. And you go to the people, you need to let them know what is happening and go on. If you're not capable of doing that, it becomes very difficult in that kind of organization and go on. In any case, it's an average time because you cannot satisfy everybody who is in capacity within the politics.
Did you get my question to him?
I got your
The point is
question.
when you prop the other parties up and they're also functioning equitably and efficiently, then the rank and file of the two main parties that seem to think they have the dominance over the executive or taking the reins of the executive, we'll see that, well, once the other smaller parties are running well, it doesn't take you to be in power before you become efficient and become dedicated to your executives or your grassroots.
Yes, I've always believed that it is actually better for the two major parties to prop up the smaller parties for their own good. Because you see,
we should say the state.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
that's why I
the
said
state for that matter. You see,
yes.
Provide them vehicles, logistics.
Yes.
Yes, we didn't get any vehicles the last elections, something that normally helped smaller parties.
Was it deliberate?
It was deliberate. I think it was deliberate.
But the debate is
and
going
then
on.
also, and then also, I want to say something. You see, the NDC, as a political party, got state funding to stand on their feet as a political party, and I'll dare anybody to challenge us on that.
Well, I would like to.
Because I believe, yeah, because you came from PNDC, you had all government support. The head of the PNDC metaphors into a presidential candidate, coming with all the largesse that was around.
When you say largesse, you mean they are all state-owned?
Yeah, state-owned, everything. And then when you look at it, I'm asking myself a few questions. This is an NDC party. They are going the same way that the CPP is supposed to have gone, according to some people. When we had...
You mean by their ideology?
By their ideology. When we had our national office, which was funded by our people paying dues and members paying dues and all that, people were saying, how can dues have such a building? How did this? It was a state-funded national headquarters. Today, we are told that the same NDC has got a national headquarters which is supposed to have been funded by people. You understand what I'm saying? So I keep saying that when you're tread very carefully, because anything that happens means that your headquarters will also be taken over. Because we are demanding as a right, as a matter of right, a moral issue, that Ministry of Information be given back to us.
The current Ministry of Information.
The current Ministry of Information.
No, it doesn't exist. It's the Information Services Department.
Or the Information Services Department, call it whatever you call it. Everybody, any Ghanaian who is over 50 years old knows that that office
was
the
headquarters
of the convention.
Wasn't
People's
also
Party.
an abuse of office at the time, some conflict of interest situation.
We would say
just like the NDC is also being accused.
But that's what I'm saying.
That because they are in government, they have enough resources to
do that. So that's what I'm
build their own party.
That is why I'm saying that if they can do it, then they shouldn't see anything wrong with us.
But that is why it is crucial that the other parties are also propped up.
That's what I mean. So if they gave us back that office alone, and then the others that are dotted in the regions, which we have identified, then we would know that democracy is really working in this country.
If not monetary assistance, what do you think that the parties need? Is it technical assistance and also logistics?
We ask, the CPP is not asking for monetary assistance.
No, nobody is asking. We're talking about how we can strengthen our democracy. It's in that direction that we're basing our argument.
Listen, it's a democracy. We are supposed to, from the very day that a new president is elected in this country, that new president becomes one for all of us, not for a particular political party. That is the one thing. If we start listening and we start doing things to mean that we are all one people, then we wouldn't sit back and say that out of all this number of women, a particular political party could not get women to give positions to.
And that's what we're saying.
You understand? So for me, I think that if they want to play it, let's play it fair. Level playing fields. That's all we are asking. Because when you start dishing out monies, you are giving contracts only to your people, you are giving employment only to your people, and all that. Then what happens to the smaller parties who also have a say? Because you see, I keep asking myself, if Labour Party could not even get the Liberals to support them, and the Liberals had to go and support the Conservatives to form a government in the UK, then it means that one day, it is us who you would need. One of you would need us to help you to get to where you're going.
I'm praying that it happens in your time.
And it will happen in my time, inshallah.
She said inshallah, I said amen. But as far as we're concerned, in making sure that we move the whole debate forward on the subject of consolidating our democracy based on pillars of strengthening the rank and file of the smaller parties and also their logistical base, in what ways do you think that we need to move the argument?
This argument has gone to and fro.
They don't want to help us.
I think that there must be state funding.
They don't want to help us.
But we need to pass the legislation to know the capping of it. You know, for example, like in the UK, an MP should not spend more than £32,000 sterling. And you must show how you raise your funding, how your campaign going on.
You shouldn't spend more than £32,000
in your campaign.
Yeah, in your campaign.
Yes. Yeah. As a DC, as an MP.
But you gentlemen spend...
I am only telling you
almost millions of dollars.
Yes, so what I'm saying is that we need to do some of this
without
capping.
accounting.
It helps us, and we need to have that legislation and act. I remember the part, it is the 715, when they do the electoral commission. I thought some of these things will come to help us to do that. So when there's a state funding, then we look at the proportionate of it and go on. And we look at the criteria. Should it be that you should have a member? If you don't, for example, take CPP run and do not have any member of
we have a member.
No, you have a Kumbugu and go on. Then take other party like a
PNC also has one as well.
Yeah. And then which other party?
That's it.
And that's a go on. So we look at it. Are we going to look at that with the base and see how much we give to everybody and go on? Whatever happens, that there must be a criteria, and I think that there should be state funding and there should be a cap. The limit that should give everybody, and then we should insist in the law that all parties should be accountable. They should produce the accounts to show how they raise their funding and go. See, that I believe
that's what the problem is.
That yes, because it's, to me that's the work.
Because now you have
that's the electoral. It should be published in the paper.
Now you have your incumbent executives being accused of doling out money. And no, I'm not saying that this is even peculiar to the ruling party. Yes. It happens even in the main opposition party.
Everybody.
We're told. Now, you even have known personalities standing accused. At what point do we say that, well, we need to keep limitations internally in the politics that we undertake and say, well, this is the amount or this is the cap that we need to place, or this is the sort of transparency we need in internal politics to make sure this doesn't degenerate and people are elected based on how popular they are and what sort of energies as well as capabilities and resources that they can give back to the party in those elected positions.
You see, whatever be the case, up for giving money as a cola, you can't take it away because of the nature of our culture. If I go to greet a chief, I'll surely buy some snaps and give a cola and leave.
That's why we're getting corrupt.
Well, I don't think so.
Because you have to buy cola.
I don't.
So
think
a businessman buys cola for a minister.
Not necessarily. That one we have.
A businessman buys cola for a managing director.
No, not necessarily, because you are supposed to declare any gift you receive from the businessman.
Oh.
Yes, as a managing director?
Yes, you are supposed to declare it. Once you declare it, in accordance to the policy of the regulations of the company or that particular institution, fine, you declare it. It's happy anywhere. So if I come to give you this mobile phone as a gift, you declare that, oh, I receive a mobile phone from Alaji Day and this is going on. And then the company would decide whether it should retain it or should be put into the assets of the company. That transparency in institution and running will help us to go on. But I'm talking of a culture you go to, even that way is open. Because if I'm giving a caller to the chief, everybody is sitting in the chief palace and he takes it and go on. The question is, running a political party is very difficult. And as my sister is putting it, when you go back to the grassroots as you are talking, maybe the delegates or the executives at the national, most of them are not working. They're not doing anything. So next time when you go to visit them, you may even like to give something within the branch of that party to run it there, maybe fuel and anything. So we have to look at those aspects. How do we do? Because
from your comment, I have a social media comment. This is from Kwijose. Kwijose is an engineer. He works with Road Safety Management Services Limited. He's asking, in your small way, what do you do to contribute to reducing corruption in wherever you are, whether it's within your party, within the constituency, and within
If in my small way, the best way is to be transparent. To be honest, you see.
So you don't give cola, but you are suggesting cola should be given.
No, what I'm saying that, oh, I do. When I go to Chief Palace, I give.
You don't. I don't. It's not the literal cola.
Yeah, but, but if you are talking about running my party,
cola is a returning gift in the African
If
sector.
you are talking of running this and go on, we have a bigger this and go. For example, let me take it that if I'm going to bring some of my executives who are in the overseas, they will come. I have to transport them and bring them to Salaga. You get the point? God, if they don't have the means to come, you have to go and bring them. But somebody sitting here doesn't understand the damage. If you're in Ayawase in the urban area, you can just enter a throw, enter a bus and go to a party head office and go on. If somebody is around 70 miles away from Salaga and he has to cross rivers and go on, you are telling him to come when the party does anything, you have to bring him to come and listen to this and go on. That will go. But what I'm saying is that the corruption we are talking, for me, nobody look at the causes of corruption. They say the real causes of corruption go on is first the bureaucracy and frustration. If I go to DVLA, and I know I can spend 30 minutes to do my lances, I have no problem. If I'm going to spend more than 2 hours, and maybe I'm a medical doctor and go on, and somebody frustrated me, I would like to buy my way to get easier to go on. So, from real experience I have worked, these are the problems we face. You see queues, people would like to join the queues, because if people are sure that the queue will follow its steps and go on, this frustration, it will reduce.
You say it's a societal problem, and so it permeates within the parties, permeates within the society, permeates within
exactly. So we'll look at it.
The private and the public sector, as far as agencies are concerned.
We can still stop it.
Yes.
Oh no, for
it's the willingness of the people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Transparency is the most important.
Because, like you say, in transparency, yes. Just one thing that we demand of our public service holders, you know, office holders.
Both the politicians and the normal citizens.
Just declare your assets. Do they declare it? Declare your assets when you come into office. Declare it when you are leaving office. Tell me which government has ever declared when they are going. Nobody
they do. Only it's not open because, like, yes, I have to do it to the audit service, and it's locked with the audit service.
So did you do it?
Yeah. Oh yes, I filled the declaration form.
You filled it?
Yes, and then it is in the audit service right now. But in addition to what I'm saying is that I use the word transparency. If there's a contract, and you want to award the contract, advertise it, let people bid, let the opening spaces, who open the bid, we look at go. When that transparency go, I'm only sure example that, and it's cut across government. I'm not saying because of this go. Until that kind of transparency in the process of all this doing a work and going on, we cannot reduce corruption to minimum. So
my conclusion is that you're saying it should be holistic.
Yes.
All facets of
all
society.
Facets, yes.
Okay. You were on a point about how the politicians and the normal public servants or the top public servants needed to declare the assets.
Yes.
In what respect? We know that it's inherent in the Constitution.
Yeah.
And the framers of the constitution may
It's
have
not
a
open.
reason to
You
put
can
it
add
there.
she wants it to be open. For example, in some jurisdiction, you declare the access and they type it like the press.
We'll come to that. We have to discuss the farmers too.
Okay,
So
let's just
quickly
start by even the caliber of people that we have that take into we keep in parliament. Let's just take the criteria. You just have, because a political party is strong at a particular place, constituency, anybody goes. So this person might not even have a dime. It is now incumbent on the political party to support that person. So that person comes and then is given a V8 and is giving 500,000 or 50,000 Ghana cedis for accommodation and all that. What are you doing to that person? If that person was worth his salt, he could have gone around to campaign with his own resources. And if really the people wanted to vote for him, regardless of whether he had the money or not, and they felt he was somebody who could represent them, they would vote for the person. But here we are, because of the way the structure of governance is, we find MPs that, I continuously will say it, will sit in parliament for the 4 years and not say a word. They might not even go back. They don't even go back to their villages.
They're supposed to undertake their work at committee meetings and all
yes,
that.
And that's
and not only sit as a plenary and talk.
That is the more reason why we need people who are knowledgeable enough, who can at least contribute to be able to bring us better bills and support us with the legalities. It's a fact that some people do not even understand the bill.
Yes, I agree with you, but when you talk of you see, the work of MPs, about 80% are done at the committee level.
Okay.
Just 10% are done at the floor. And even at the floor, not everybody will be so articulate maybe to talk on the floor of parliament. But when you go to committee level, a lot of people contribute and go, look, I can cite an example, like take someone like Honorable Boafo of, is it Akwapi or whatever, one of the greatest contributors when it comes to bills. Even sometimes when 10 people are left in the after later go on, he contribute a lot to the bill and then read the bill and he said, you know, Lawyer Buffalo.
Yes.
Headies are gone. So, but people may not see and say that such a man maybe may not talk at the when the ground go floor. But I can tell you that most of our bills that you get, Honorable Buff is a very good, and there are a lot of those people who are there. So it's not necessarily. It's not necessarily coming.
Are you aware that there are constituents who would also vote out members of parliament because they would say that they never had?
All right.
Oh yes, a lot.
That's why argument is. Now let's go.